Yes, guys, and a welcome from me, Championship Manager 0102. Something a little bit different today that I'm going to do a quick video on. I have done one on this before, but I'm going to tell you what's what. This is the D.T.L Dream Team League. Now, this is run by the chairman of the CM0102 forums called Mark. It's an interactive game. And it's ironic, really, because I've been involved in this from the start, and as you can see, as I'm about to restore it, we're into Season 4. Now, the ironic thing, right, about this is I read this post yesterday on the forum. Somebody asked about play-by-mail. Now, did anybody ever do play-by-mail football games? Like, basically, you're playing a football management game, but you're doing it via the post. Now, I'm going back to, like, 30-odd years. And I used to do it. I think me and my brother used to do Soccer Supremos and Soccer Star. Someone wrote yesterday off the post. You used to send the money, like, affix your coins to your fucking letter and shit. I think it was either coins, postal order, or stamps. And somebody said, PBM is the equivalent to today's D.T.L. So D.T.L, right, now, if you haven't already seen the other video, I'll quickly give you a recap what D.T.L is. So Mark runs the D.T.L. It's literally all interactive. So let me just go to Mike. So these are all the people that are participating in the D.T.L. These are all people from the forums. And that's their ID name from the forums. So basically, and if I get any of this wrong, I do apologise. I'm certainly not the expert on this. I just thought it'd be a good opportunity. So I'm trying to remember now, back to Season 1. Mark gave everybody an X amount of money, fantasy, a bit like fantasy football, let's say, whatever it was, 20 million. And then Mark would then stick a load of players up for auction. He would release everybody from the squads. So I've chose Wolves. He would make us all, so we'd all start with an empty squad and 20 million in fictitious money. Forget the bank in the game. And then basically, let's pretend he's put Vieira. We'll take Vieira. So I think it's more than 20 million we started with, and everybody would PM Mark 5 bids for 5 different players, even though there was a list of loads more, and whoever bid the highest for each player would get that player, and he'd add them into their squad. And he'd do another set of auctions the following day, and another day, and another day. I think he did like 10 days or 15 days of auctions, until you end up with a squad. You end up buying players for dirt cheap, because you got to bid for a player that maybe no one else is going to bid for. Or, if you want to play that bad, you're going to have to bid over, but you can only bid for 5 players. I actually think, right, the work that goes in on this, that Mark does, is just fucking phenomenal. It is really brilliant, and I don't mean to patronise when I say that. This is really, really good stuff. So let's talk about my team then at Wolves. So what Mark does is, when he's finished a season, I think back in Season 1, as Wolves, I finished 4th. But to do Season 2, he restarts a new game. So whilst I finished 4th, and theoretically I'd be in the Champions League, but because of the way the game is, the top 4 don't go into the Champions League, but that's not a massive issue. But basically, he starts a brand new game. I keep the same players for Season 2, but he does. There'll be I'll deal with other players if I want to make a deal and sell someone. I actually did have Vieira. And I sold Vieira. We did it through PMs on the forums, and then we do it on a generic thread. I can't remember who I sold him to. I forget who the manager of Colchester is. Trunky. So there you see Trunky's lineup. And so it makes no difference. The only difference was I started as Wolves, so I started in the 1st Division. Trunky would have started wherever Colchester was. And so on and so on, but that makes no difference. And then at the end of the season, if you win a cup and so on, you earn more prize money, fictitious prize money that Mark puts into your fantasy bank balance. So I sold Vieira, and as you can have a quick gander, if I open up my reserves, these are all my players. Now, some of these players I've picked up on a free transfer. Basically, forget the shaded out players, obviously. Let's do it this way. There's my reserves. Oh, for fuck's sake. So I forget who I got him off, but I brought Paulo Montero. Bit stupid, really, to get rid of Vieira, to bring in Montero. I mean, Montero is a red card waiting to happen. Now, this is a twist in the game, right? What Mark does, the very first season, the only available tactic that anyone could use was 4-4-2. A standard 4-4-2. No whip wobs. No, you could change arrows. So if I wanted, I could do arrows, and then I would take a screenshot of that picture of the tactic, and I'd send it to Mark, or I'd send a generic one on submitting squads, and Mark would follow my tactic, my team instructions, whatever they may be, and also my lineup. As season 2 started, a new tactic was unlocked. I think it was that one. I'm sure it was that one. 5-3-2 attacking. There was another tactic unlocked for season 3, and I know that the tactic we've got at the moment is I'm using 4-3. That is an available tactic, 4-3-3. So excuse me. So that is my setup at the minute, and they're my team instructions. You can't do no player instructions because that's just too much work to expect Mark to do. But basically, what would happen is I would send it all into Mark, and Mark, everybody would send it in, and then for the month, so you can see, he did a holiday month of December, and as you can see, in terms of December, I had a good fucking month. I'd send in my team sheet, but obviously the assistant would take over if a player was unavailable for whatever reason. So what I do is I have a look at the saved game, which is what I've restored right now. Was very happy with my month, particularly when beating the rival managers. So as you can see, we beat Leeds 3-1, and the manager of Leeds, they played 4-4-2 obviously, although I do think there was who was manager of Leeds? Yeah, so a D.T.L, so one of the human managers. Who there was, I think Man United. Yeah, it's London, it's Ian. So was very, very pleased with to beat Man United. Yeah, you can see what tactic he's using right there. And Leicester, who was Leicester manager? General Smith. Right, okay. And what? I've got a feeling. I remember Mark saying that on the December month, a few people failed to submit their squad, so they get left on a default 4-4-2, and that looks like a default 4-4-2, no arrows. But when you fail to submit your squads to Mark, you get a strike, 3 strikes, and you are out the game. Which I think you need to have rules. There's no doubt about that. So let's have a look then. I mean, in terms of my squad, it's hard to get real quality players because I'm up against everybody. I did bring Brozek. Now I fucked up really because whilst I like Brozek's a great player in the ODB, but what you've got to think to yourself, right, is it ain't until season 2 that he becomes a real fucking beast. And it's the same with. It's exactly the same with, where is he? Where is he? He's in my reserves, isn't he? Shane Tolley. So it's my own fault, really. Now the thing is, right, I never really used to participate in these sort of interactive games, but I understand as you play more seasons and more tactics are unlocked, the next thing that can get unlocked, I believe, don't quote me on this, whoever wins a title, they can also choose, or whoever wins the most points or whatever, they choose what update to use next. So, in terms of the order of updates, what was the next available update after the original ODB? And the answer to that is the 3.968, which had all the Super Greeks in. Don't worry about the Super Greeks, because Mark probably wouldn't put them in the auctions. But basically, so let's hypothetically say I won the title. I could say, okay, season 5 we're going to have ODB again. Mark will start a brand new game with ODB again. Or I could say we're going to go with the 3.968, and then you can have the next update. Now, I would rather stay on the ODB every time. For the simple reason, I don't remember any of the updates as to who were the good players to go for, and so on and so on and so on. I mean, yes, I remember the last few updates, but you're going back fucking 40 updates, 2 updates a season. We're 21 seasons into 21 years since the game started. That is 42 updates, 2 updates a year. So it is very, very difficult in my opinion. Jesus Savarano was always one of my ODB go-to players. Now, if you want to look into this game more, right, get onto the forums, go onto the interactive, the D.T.L, it's fucking brilliant. But you can probably gather we are mid-season, so Mark ain't going to take any new recruits mid-season. But he's always looking at recruits, or there is a waiting list come the end of the season, because I think he's capped at 16 players. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 players. But as I said, a few players got a strike, and if they get a strike, 2 more strikes, they are out. Which means there will be spaces. I really enjoy this, to be honest with you. But I also appreciate that is a lot of work for Mark to do. It is really a lot of work to do. See, I think that's another striker that does do well, but not initially. Claudio Lopez. Let's have a quick look then at my rivals, Man City. Let's have a look at their reserves as well. Oh no, that's their entire squad. God, they've got a small squad, haven't they? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 22 players in Man City's squad. That is ridiculous, AJ. AJ is a D. Okay, but you can see, I mean, he's done well. I mean, let's have a look what tactic he's using. Yeah, that's not a bad setup. I don't believe he's got the greatest squad in the world, but irrelevant, really, because, you know, he's doing well. Okay, let's have a look at Southampton then. The manager of Southampton is Durham. Let's have a look at Durham. Has obviously got a much bigger squad. This is like close to my sort of squad. This is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21. 42 players in Durham's squad. Mark certainly from season 2, but let's have a look who else he's got that sticks out. Palermo. He's got Palermo. I can never remember. I don't really pay too much attention to who other players have got, particularly if they've beat me in a bid for them. Okay, that is that is Durham. Colchester, we said it was Trunky, didn't we? So yeah, he's got Vieira. Let's have a look at something on Vieira. Yeah, 1 red card and 5 yellows already, but look at, I mean, I probably fucked up big time. So basically, I made a deal with Trunky at the end of the last season, I think it was. We made a deal. I think he gave me a player and some money, because obviously I use that money for the next set of transfers. I think I sold, Manolo. I got rid of him as well. He was one of my players. In fact, I know it was. He's got Alan Shearer, Trezeguet, Richie Wellens. Fucking hell. So yeah, he's got a good old setup there. Langfield, he's got some decent goalkeepers. See, I think I lack a real decent goalkeeper personally. Let's take a look at what Leeds United. Who say Leeds was? So Dueverston. Let's have a look at who he's got of interest. Phantoms would have thought I had him. Might have been a different game. I had him. Might be getting confused. Rushville. I remember Rushville. Hasn't got the biggest squad in the world, but probably big enough for him. But at the end of the day, he's doing well. Lee Henry. I remember Lee Henry. Fuck me. Haaland. Okay, Brad Friedel. Okay, on to Chelsea. Chelsea is definitely spectral. See, he's using his arrows a little bit. He's using that 5-3-2. He's using a bit of arrows there, spectral. So have a look who he's got then of interest. Cannavaro. Absolute rock. At the back, anyone who's he got up top then? Christian Vieri up top. Alex as well is a great player. Yeah, he's got some real decent players. Matt Holland is a solid DM. Clint Hill, I remember him. Fuck me. Okay, on to Ian, Man United. Big squad. Macken, fucking hell. See, I look around, right, and a lot of the worldies are really evenly distributed almost. Marvin Andrews. We have no issue of work permits. That's all been disabled from Mark, so when we're bidding for players, not an issue at all. Greg, is that Greg Strong? Fuck me, Greg Strong. Okay, that is Ian. On to Newcastle. Who did we say Newcastle was? Ebbs, yeah, of course it had to be Ebbs. He's a big Newcastle fan. Oh my god, look at Ebbs' squad. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 19 players in Ebbs' squad. That is crazy. I didn't even realise. I mean, he hasn't actually got a bad squad. Mapenza, Robben is a great player, but he's got a really small squad. Ebbs, I think, was one of the players that missed out. He got a strike. Okay, Dida. Yeah, he's not got the greatest squad. I think it's really the depth. Liverpool, now it's definitely Redknapp. So it looks like 24 players in his squad. 9, 12, hang on a minute. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 28 players in his squad. I thought it was 12, but 28 players in his squad. D.T.L One of the problems that I say problems, I don't want to call it the flaws, because there's so much workload already involved, is when players go AWOL, and I'm saying that because DJ Armenia is a plain example. No one will buy Anelka, but Anelka will get goals. There you see him, he's already got one actually, there you see. So Brocci, I mean, it's difficult because I think Redders will say to Mark, can you remove that absent bullshit? And I think there's to an extent, Mark can only do so much. So I don't really know what the solution is on that. There may be a solution, but Redders, decent looking setup, and you can see he's using 4-4-2. On to Tranmere Rovers. Now this is Reese. He's brought them up. Let's have a look at Tranmere Rovers' squad. Anyone of interest? Slaven Wiltord, he's a bit of a bad boy. Julio Baptista. Fuck me, that's a trip down memory lane there, isn't it? Jody Craddock. I love seeing old names. Is that Yapstam as well? Yapstam, so he's got some decent players. Certainly got some variation of decent players. Let's go to did we just do Spurs? Now I know Jeffrey was one of the players that was given a strike, but let's have a look at the Spurs setup. Jeffrey knows his stuff, so he'd have been very smart with his buys. Rock Jr., he's obviously, you can see, he's another one absent. It is a shitter because I had it a lot last season as well. Luis Fabinho is there. There may be a reason why Jeffrey didn't make the is that Christopher Canoe? Fuck me. Didn't make the submitted of squads and got a strike. That he didn't. There might be a reason, one reason or another. Did I look at Leicester? Who was Leicester? Did I say? General Smuts. Let's have another look at Leicester. Yeah, there's his squad. Oh, he's got an Ilka. Oh, right, there you go. He's got an Ilka. So, there you see, and you all know what will possibly happen here for General Smuts. He'll probably go absent. But the bottom line is, right, and this is the thing about CM, he is a fucking cunt, but he will score you fucking goals. He will score you goals. I think there might be a way to prevent this in the editor. I'm not the expert, so I might be talking out my arse. Mutu is another good player. Okay, let's go to who's left then. I think there's only got. Let's have a look at Arsenal. Who's the manager of Arsenal? Kahneman. Another one that got a strike. It looks like there was quite a few that got a strike. It looks like. So this is Kahneman's setup. JJ Kocher, Zinedine Zidane. It's all about really. If you've got the players, it's all about the setup really. Let's take a look now. There is stats. How many is that we got? We've got 13 here, haven't we? So we're still missing 3 more players, which are going to probably be in other leagues. Hull City. Hull City are run by D.T.L AMC. Let's have a look at Hull City's lineup. Big old squad there, Hull City. Good old squad. Decent squad indeed. Is that Paul Merson? Fuck me. What are you doing with that fucking alcoholic in your lineup? Jesus. Okay. Stoke. Now, Stoke I know is run by the one and only Mark. Mark, who runs the whole game, and he plays it fairly. And, I don't think there's any biased, anything like that at all, because I think he sends his bids out as well. He times them, so people know there's no manipulating. And I believe, there you see, Mark's got an issue of the players absent. So Mark's got a decent old setup. And we are clearly missing. Oh, Bolton. There's the third one. Who's manager Bolton? Oh, Erisham. Now, Erisham, I know he was one that did fail to submit. So there's obviously a lot of players failed to submit this season, this month, and that's his squad. Actually, that's all he's got. So that is the D.T.L, guys, and where we are at. If you want to see more on D.T.L, guys, because we get a save every season, every month. I'm happy to do it. It might not necessarily be, appealing to anybody. I think the thing that's appealing is probably explaining how the game works. The fun part of the game, from my participation perspective, is the bidding. That's where there's a lot of work going on for Mark, because you think, right, he puts about 25 players up for auction, and I've got to cherry pick 5 players who I'm going to bid for. And Mark's a clever cunt, right? What he'll do is there'll be at least 10 players there worth bidding. And you'll think, well, I can't bid for all of them, so then you've got to outbid your opponents, So you might look at a player and think, right, I'm going to bid 100 grand for that player, and hopefully somebody will bid on a free transfer. And what will happen is, if there's a tied bid, what Mark will do is he'll then PM each player that's tied, and he'll ask for a rebid. So that is the D.T.L, guys. At season 4, January gone. I think I'm out of cups. I'm sure I'm out of the League Cup. Yeah, I got knocked out of the League Cup to Coventry, to QPR. But in terms of me, I'm quite happy with. I was happy with my month, to be honest with you. I think I chopped it up and changed it a little bit. We did lose to Man United. I would say undeservedly, but do you know what? We had some good results, and it was a busy old month. 7 games in the month. So you can see January we've got 4 games coming up. One of which is going to be the FA Cup against Preston. One of which is going to be against Redditors Liverpool. Potentially an FA Cup replay if it comes up. February will be another short month. March will as well. Of course, I'm not in Europe. I didn't qualify. In fact, I didn't qualify for Europe last season. I think I finished like 8th. The season before, like as I said, back in season 1, I finished 4th. But because Mark starts a new game, you can't do it. I think I was in the UEFA Cup. But that's that. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Anything you want to know, anything you want to add, if you don't want to see this shit again, do let me know. You know, it's all good for feedback. And until next time from me, guys, take it easy.